Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nightcap, the show that asks, where'd that come from? In this show, we ask creators about themselves, about their games, and what influenced their game's journey. Tonight's show is brought to us by Daily Magic Games and the exciting new Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, now on Kickstarter. Also, Grand Gamers Guild, makers of Endangered, Endeavor, and many more fine games. If you'd like to be a sponsor on the show, please let us know. We'd love to have you. Today's episode is hosted by Will Gibson, author of Give Me Back My Son, and I'm Glenn Flaherty. Jacob is on assignment. Tonight we are joined by Heather and Andy Logan, designer of the Shivers, the pop-up mystery game that is creepy, kooky, mysterious, and spooky. Without further ado, please welcome the Logans. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing so well, and I'm so happy you're here. I kind of want to set the stage about how we met and how you're on the show, and then we'll kind of take it into what the game is and what it brings to the gaming realm and what's new about it. I met you, or I should say I was aware of the game about a year ago because you were in the forums presenting pictures and asking for ideas on the logos, which I actually thought was very cool, and I offered my input as well. I assume that's why you went in the direction you did.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I can understand that. And then when we went to PAX Unplugged, I was actually making the rounds and we ran into each other, which was a total delight. And then I know pre-COVID, we were going to do a Kickstarter and I got a Shivers hat and I put little flyers for the game out in my local store because I thought it was a cool game. Yeah, you know it. And then COVID hit and, you know, the whole thing right out the window, you know. But anyway, we're here now. It's coming back strong. Enough of me talking. Andy, would you like to tell us a little bit about your game?
Yeah, the Shivers is a pop-up mystery tabletop adventure.
Mm-hmm. And does it have anything to do with me timbers?
Not quite. As you can see here, the room is a 3D pop-up room. So everything folds flat.
That's so ornate.
Turns into a little room you can explore. So yes, we have furniture, pianos, pictures, vases, all kinds of things. Lots of little doors that open and close. Everything kind of can be interacted with, like the piano, and there's little doors here that open with clues inside.
That is so cool. It's like you're playing with a diorama.
Yes, very much so.
That's awesome.
A lot of people also say it's a lot like a point-and-click PC adventure.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like Myst or something like that, but analog.
That came to my mind when I was looking at the game. I guess I was thinking that it was kind of touching the realm, and of course not quite the same, but the kind of like choose your own adventure, or maybe Mysterium, or maybe the Sherlock Holmes, where you're trying to find your path and you're trying to work through. But there's also an RPG element because I know you need a game master, correct?
Right.
Okay, and so how many players is it? How long does it take? How many scenarios are in it? What is the replayability of the game like?
Yeah, there's at least one player is the storyteller, and they are on the back side of the game, kind of reading the clues to the players.
Okay, I was curious about that because I know that you have the option to kind of like say, I'm going to pick up this letter, or I'm going to go to this chair. Right. And I was wondering how you navigate that as the moderator there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every game, the storyteller is narrating the game much like a DM or a GM for the players. There would be 1 to 4 other players on this side of the table playing with the game. They would each have their own little standees. Mm-hmm. That would be their kind of avatar in the game.
And I must tell you, I'm in love with standees. I love them way more than minis. I love that they're animated and they're robust and full colored. That brings me a ton of joy. Good choice. And I guess it fits with the pop-up theme book too.
It has that paper feel that I think is consistent.
It's like a Paper Mario game in a way.
Right.
Yeah. So 1 storyteller, 1 to 4 players, ages 7 and up. We think 7's good because by then they're not mashing pop-ups with their soft, meaty hands. As I know, I'm a father of 3, so I know 7 is the threshold where things stop getting smashed. And each game takes about an hour, roughly, you know, plus or minus 15 minutes, depending on how verbose your group is.
Yeah, and what's great is when you're done with 1 episode, this card in the back comes out, it flips around, and all of the artwork changes behind every room. And all of the clues change on the back, and you're going to get 8 episodes with our core game.
Oh, very good. Now, when you say that it's 8, does that include, like, I know that there's not only this one room, correct? There's like elements that attach the environments.
Yeah, so with Kickstarter, you get 6 rooms. And every time you play the game, the rooms reconfigured differently. So you may play episode 1 with 4 rooms, and episode 2 might be 6 rooms. So it really varies according to the episode guide. And there's a map that tells you how you're going to configure the rooms. We just really wanted to make the game unique and different every time you play it.
Oh, that looks so cool.
That's
and
the kitchen.
Yeah, and I love the element of lighting that comes through.
Yeah.
The illustrator was
We can talk about that, definitely.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, let me ask you this. I want to know 2 things. And Will, do you have a question?
I'm not at the moment, but I was also gonna say, yeah, that art direction is amazing. I love that.
Who's the artist who decided on the art direction between you 2?
I was a fan of Bill Tiller's art for many years. I played his games a lot in college. Curse of Monkey Island, LucasArts games, The Dig, Indiana Jones, Infernal Machine, Vampire Stories. Well-known digital artist from kind of the point-and-click heyday of video games.
Yeah.
Games. And as I was developing the Shivers, we thought, hey, wouldn't Bill be amazing? We didn't know him at the time.
So you actually got him to do it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me!
We reached out. I tracked down Google, who did art on Monkey Island.
You Googled it through the interwebs.
Through the interwebs, yeah.
My
And I got a postcard in the mail 4 days later that had his name on it.
Wow.
That is the internet.
Postcard. That's awesome. Did it come by carrier pigeon?
That's right. And Bill Tiller lives in Petaluma, and he's a great illustrator who's doing freelance now. And I showed him the game I showed him these prototypes, which are my own pencil and paper and like X-Acto knife models.
Which is awesome. You have that in your media kit.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And he loved it. He was like, "This is great. This is right up my alley. It's haunted house theme. It's spooky. It's got texture mapping onto surfaces, which he's expert at." And so we hit it off right away. And
What a score!
Yeah.
What an amazing score. So I have 2 questions for you leading up to that. And Will, if you want to interject, just raise your hand so I know to throw to you. I would like to, know, how does somebody take a turn? What is a turn like in this game? But also, I want to know, what was the genesis of it? Where did it come from? Where did the inspiration to do this strike you?
Mm-hmm. Do the turn.
I'll do the turn, yeah. So as you enter into the house, you're getting, it's almost like an escape room where you're getting a little backstory. So you get a little backstory of something that's going on in the house that leads you into the house. And once you enter into the house, you'll be taking individual turns, but you're working cooperatively to solve the mystery. So a turn might be, I see a note on the table. Can you tell me what it says? The storyteller would read the note. And then the next player might say, oh, I see a key in the fireplace. And the storyteller might say, well, that key is very hot because it's on fire.
So you literally can start anywhere. I could be like, I want to look at the fern.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And so each turn is about 5 seconds of activity. Whatever it takes, like 5 seconds is a turn.
So just think, if you're playing an escape room, you walk into the room and you're just in a room. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to try?
When you explore, how do you lose? How do you go until you discover the path? Or is there something that says like, you've made 7 wrong turns, you fell through the trapdoor or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. Each episode comes with an episode guide, which is like your mini control panel for, as a storyteller, how to run the game.
So you have to pre-read this before you get into it. Okay.
And at the bottom is a handy dandy flow chart of all the steps you really need to take to complete the episode. So it'd be like, find the key in the fireplace, unlock the library door, find the book that says a certain thing. So as a storyteller, you can shepherd people if they're just flailing,
Yeah.
Like, there's little avatars in here, like the crow up on the mantle, the raven on the library shelf says, "Look in the drawer." Yeah.
Right.
A little cute. Oh, okay. Look in the drawer. Oh, there's a note there. Okay, excellent.
And it really varies by age too. Obviously, with a 7-year-old, you're gonna jump in and give them more clues. But with the adults, you gotta let them suffer a little bit. And
well, that's part of the joy of the night, is making other people, Schadenfreude. Is that the German release of the game, Schadenfreude? Is that what you call it?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it too because it already strikes me as like a great, just a social party night game. I had a Halloween night not too long ago, and I tried to do one of those escape room games, but it came with like the wrong booklet, and it was a disaster. And it was one of those games where you had to think not literally outside the box. You had to like cut the box cover open to and it was just, this this esoteric thing. And anyway, this looks much more, you can live inside the environment. You can be kind of drawn into it, and it looks like it has a charm and a whimsy light enough that you can be social. You don't have to get bogged down and think too hard. You can kind of explore it all together. That's pretty cool. So you said there's 8 adventures in this one base game. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are they connected? Do they build on each other, or are they all separate stories?
Yeah, so there's a larger story happening within the episodes, so they're connected, and so that makes it really fun to play all the episodes. But if you just have a friend coming over and they want to play, they can just jump in and play an episode too. But if you're interested in that larger story, then it's
that is cool.
Yeah, so the story, these are called story cards. This one is for the library only, and it's what makes the library change each time you rotate to a different adventure.
Ah, very good.
Change as well.
Very good. In a way, that reminds me of the game Time Stories. Have you heard of that game before?
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of different modules, but there's an overarching quality to it that right. I have yet to discover, because I like every game, I can't even get through the first thing.
Right.
That is very cool.
What I find really amazing about this, and I'm kind of jealous of this accomplishment, because I always think, like, if only I could create something that like combines my love of, like, a wide variety of things among many different media. So like point and click adventures, Myst, full motion video games from the past.
Yeah.
But also a board game with tangible, like novel tangible elements. And it's not too long before I realize, I'm trying to cram too many of those things that I love into this one project, and then I have to shaver everything. This looks like it accomplishes like the experience of so many of those things, those point and clicks, those like Sherlock Holmes consulting detective.
Yeah.
But and escape rooms.
Yeah.
But with a tangible element that draws you in.
Absolutely. Yeah, people really get in there. They can open doors, look behind furniture. There's a magnifying glass they'll get to look for hidden clues. There's codes, there's puzzles. It's all there for discovery. And that's what's really exciting. Even on the play tests we've done so far, they're fairly brief. People really get into it. They're looking all around and discovering things that a lot of things don't have to do with that episode, but they might have to do with the next episode. So they're, really picking apart this scenery because it's so rich. You want to just dive in and look at everything.
They write down every item because they want to use everything.
Right.
How long have you been designing this game?
Yeah.
Long time.
Couple years.
Yeah, long time.
2 years. This started, June, I would say, of 2018.
Oh, well, that's a solid accomplishment. I got to tell you, the fact that you've gotten this far in that amount of time is really stellar. We were just talking to the Pendulum guy. He's been working on that one game for 5 years. I think when I was talking to Daily Magic with his game Osiris, which I love, it's a Euro game. I think he told me it was either 8 or 13 years he had been working on that one game. So
Right.
That's actually a great development that you did in 2 years. My goodness me. And how many iterations has it gone through? Has it evolved over the time?
Yeah, it started with these initial pop-ups I made, which you've seen, which is just
Right.
me learning how to do pop-ups and drawing little rooms and cutting them out and testing them with my family and their friends.
That's amazing. I can't believe you even started with that. That alone looks like that 80s music video, whatever that was.
Yeah, Take on Me. Oh
yeah.
In real life, Andy's a product designer, so he's able to use some of those skills.
I'm used to making things.
Exactly.
He's not intimidated. Oh, I'm just gonna go make a pop-up. I would feel really uncomfortable with that.
I wanted to touch on that. So that made, because typically a designer's first game design experience is sometimes painful. There's a steep learning curve. And do you think your background with bringing products to light, do you think that really like gave you an edge? Or
Yeah, absolutely. It like Heather said, really lowered that fear barrier where I might be intimidated to learn how to do pop-ups and make a prototype and test it and go to Kickstarter. A lot of barriers are pretty intimidating on that pathway. And I think just because of my background of doing 20 years of product design for clients all around the world, this seemed pretty achievable. This was like, compared to some of those crazy projects, I can do this mostly on my own too.
Would you still say that you're currently still like learning, that this is still teaching you things you didn't think you'd have to think about in the process?
Oh yeah, every stage is learning, definitely. And now I'm learning how, hopefully, to have a successful Kickstarter. And before that was how to integrate, pop-ups and 2D artists and paper engineers working on 3D pop-up mechanisms together. And then before that was trade show, how to navigate trade shows and what to do and booths. And every step. Luckily, we've had some really good advisors who are kind of well known in the industry to help tell us what not to do and what we should be doing. So it's really helped us focus like a laser on a quick pathway to Kickstarter. But
with your Kickstarter ambitions, I want to kind of talk about what's going to go on in Kickstarter. Like, what are you putting out? What's the price point? Are there stretch goals? Will they be revealed as you go? But also, how did COVID affect the process? That's really got to be a wrench in the.
Yes. That was,
Absolutely.
It's been really tricky. I mean, from everything from manufacturing and communication with that, because a lot of manufacturers were shut down. So that was a barrier. And then we were ready to go on Kickstarter about a week before everything shut down, and it just didn't feel good. I mean, everyone was just really scared. And
I agree.
I just felt like no one's head was in games at that moment. And so decided to pull back, which was a really hard choice, but and it's still scary right now for a lot of people. And
right.
It's
pulling back was a great choice because you would have been lost. Yeah, I think it was great to pull back. You would have been lost in the noise of the moment, and
right.
And now it's calming down. Even if it's not over, we're becoming more accustomed to it, so we're not so panicked necessarily. Yeah. And so now you can put more of a light on it. Right. With those games, and you're talking about the production of it is so ornate. What was it like trying to get these elements done correctly?
Well, that is a whole process too, because there's manufacturers that make pop-ups, and then there's manufacturers that make games, and to be able to combine those two things together is really complicated. But we've been determined to make it happen, and
we've got some good potential manufacturers who can cross those worlds, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But was
it a lot of searching to do it?
Yeah, we had some good tips from advisors who said, talk to these guys and these guys and these guys, and then some of our paper engineers who do pop-ups said, well, these guys are the pop-up kings, so talk to them. So
nice. And I love that there's paper engineers.
Yeah, so I didn't know this, but pop-ups are made by paper engineers. They know paper quality, thickness, how it bends, mechanisms, folding types.
Sure, makes sense, right?
Bite your butt in production and hang everything up. So they know, they've been down this path before. They know how to design a robust, strong, and cost-effective room. So that's been great. We've got a great one. Her name is Renee Jeblo. She lives down here in LA, and she's been jumping in and tackling and working on everything, integrating Bill's artwork into her files, and she's been building these prototypes as well, like this one.
I mean, that's amazing. Just to look at, just the presence of it.
Yeah.
It's just, And it sticks out among the world. Oh, and I love how you go from the reds into the blues, and you change that energy about it.
Yeah, that's
And
Bill's magic is really lighting. He'll pick a light source in the room, like a lamp somewhere, and then everything in the room is looking at that light source in the pop-up.
It's
And
the
it
kind
looks
of
like-
game that you would want, even if you're not playing it, just as a set piece.
Yeah, totally. Put it
So
on the shelf.
wild. So tell me
there's-
about the Kickstarter too. You have all this art, you have this great stuff. Are the modules, are all these rooms, are they separate rooms? Can you add more rooms, or do you just get the one kit as one big unit? How does that work?
So we have the core game with 6 rooms and 8 episodes. And then we also have an expansion pack with another room and 4 more episodes. And then there's some Kickstarter exclusive characters in that expansion. And we also have a guest writer, a horror writer. So we're very excited to have her as well. So
Now, is it a secret who the horror writer is?
It's not a secret anymore. So Darcy Coates, she's a horror writer.
She's in Australia.
She's in Australia. And I read one of her books, and as soon as I read it, I knew that she had to be a part of the Shivers. Like, she really gets inside your head, and I think she's going to do an amazing job.
Yeah, she'll be working on our expansion pack, and the goal is that we'll always be, as a company, which we named Pop Fiction Games, we're always going to be making new rooms and stories and characters. So each expansion, you'll get a new room, new story cards that swap into all the rooms, new foes and characters. Like, here's the witch.
Was she under a house?
That's right.
Yeah, she's a little flat.
So we'll be always expanding and offering new modules. So the game will always be growing, and the world of the Shivers will be growing, and you'll learn more of the backstory. Here's the bee monster from one of the
That is
episodes.
awesome. I love this.
So yeah, we want to really grow it as a universe to play in.
What a vision. I mean, even just on the vision alone, the dedication to the quality. Will, have you seen anything like that before?
No, and I wanted to ask: are there any new concepts, or maybe concepts that ended up on the cutting room floor for this initial iteration of the game, that with success you think you're going to want to bring back for those expansions, like maybe like new mechanics, new maybe new, I don't want to say tech, but new things you can kind of try in terms of paper engineering, I guess I should say.
Yeah, there's a lot on the roadmap like that. Originally we had hoped for 8 rooms, but for cost reasons we brought it down to 6. So there's 2 rooms, kind of master's chambers and a children's nursery that we've got kind of queued up, but we'll probably introduce those as expansions. So there's all the other rooms of the house: the dungeon, the armory, the
The
attic.
list goes on.
We've got it okay, we can do all these, and then we can start to go outside the house. Maybe they find a way to go to the pyramids, or Paris, or a medieval castle. So
how cool will that be?
Point for other expansions, and then pop-up rooms that are maybe twice this big and unfold like a deluxe giant tile.
Oh my goodness
It's
me!
even
Wow.
bigger. And there's lights and sounds we could do as well, integrating. So
Oh my gosh! Wow.
it's all out there for consideration.
I mean, you are such oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
Oh, I just meant like simple circuitry, like sort of add-ons like that. That'd be great.
This reminds me of 2 things, man. First of all, let me tell you, this strikes me as I almost feel like this effervescent jubilation, ebullience coming through. And because it strikes me as so 80s for 2 reasons. As you're talking about the rooms getting bigger, it makes me think of buying G.I. Joe playsets, just wanting my big one, But also there was an 80s game that I had, and it was a Dracula game, and it had lights and sound, and you stuck your finger in something and it bit it. And whatever that was, I thought that was the bee's knees. And what you're describing totally rings that bell for me.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll leave one of the pop-up rooms open, and they can put their finger in there, and then
Andy will bite it.
That's right. Oh, that is a good idea. Grab fingers here.
How cool is that? Okay, so as far as the Kickstarter too, is there any, I don't know if you have hidden things in there that will unveil with time. Do you have stretch goals? Can you reveal if you might have stretch goals? Will they be unveiled as you hit those numbers? Will they just be a curtain that gets pulled back, or do you tell people from the get-go?
Yeah. Well, I think at launch, we're planning on not sharing any stretch goals.
Got it. How about at lunch?
At lunch, yes. At
No.
lunch, no.
Okay.
But depending on how we do on the campaign, there's some we think might be very interesting to add. So there's some on our radar. They won't be immediately visible at the outset of the campaign, though.
That's
And then
pretty
we'll
cool.
have two-
What a teaser that is.
Did you mention the 2 tiers? There'll be the core game tier
mentioned it.
and the
Yeah.
65 and 95 for the deluxe expansion. Yeah.
Heck
And that's
yeah.
it. There's no multi-tiers. It's really just 2 options and keeping it simple.
Man, that is too cool for school. Well, listen, we are, believe it or not, we said that, the show's half an hour. We're actually pretty much at the 29th minute. Somehow,
Yeah.
I feels like we just got started, but it's already over. That's always the way it is. Now, listen, Andy, I like to end all interviews with a joke. So if you look at your phone, you might have been sent a joke. Please don't expect anything great. Okay, are you ready to read a joke to us?
Glenn, there's a joke I've been liking to tell people lately. Can I share it?
I would love to hear it. This is a double exclusive Shivers double joke ending.
Purple is my favorite color. I like it more than blue and red combined.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, factual too. I like it. Now you have another joke, don't you?
Oh, sure. I'm full of jokes. This one's a little spooky. What kind of street do ghosts love to haunt?
What kind of street do ghosts? Boulevard?
Oh, that's even
Whoa,
better.
that is better. Wow.
I was gonna
That's the
say
answer.
I was gonna say a dead end, but
Oh,
it got
okay.
upstaged.
Cool. All right. Well, that was great. Hey, thank you so much. I always love when these interviews go so fast. You were a joy and so full of information. Will, you have any more questions or insights you want to share?
No, other than what do you think is in the future for pop fiction? Anything you might want to expand into?
Oh,
Well, initially we're focused on making a great game for the Shivers and then building that out. But if you think about this as really a platform for storytelling, think about all the other things this could be when you're locking pop-up rooms together besides a haunted house, and you might have some idea of what we're thinking for the future.
I wish I had a creative bone in my body. I don't know what that could be, but it sounds very alluring. And I guess we'll all ponder that in silence.
Yeah. Until next time, I guess.
Until next time. Okay. Well, I want to thank you both, the Logans, very much for being here. That was a pleasure. And any last statements for the audience you might be watching?
If you're interested in the Shivers, please back our game. We need your help and support.
We will definitely will. Count on me because I've been enamored since long ago. And if you want any more help with that game, let me know. I'm happy to be there because the product's great and you're such nice people. Okay, for everyone else, all right, that is the show. Thank you for joining us. Please make sure to subscribe, like, share our show so it may grow. If you have suggestions on guests, let us know. We'd love to hear it. And until next time, friends, be safe, be well, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Cheers.
Ew.